Hey everyone, Tina Hogan Grant here. My regular Cuppa A Natter that I like to do every other Monday. I invite authors into my home and we talk about books, writing, life as an author, and we will answer your questions. Tonight I am joined by Marci Bolden. How are you doing, my dear?
Wonderful. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm so happy to be able to talk to you tonight.
I am so excited to be here. Thank you so much.
Oh, I appreciate it. You did have a book come out that we're going to talk about. It's called The Selling Point.
Yes.
But before we get to that, how about you tell us a little background about Marci and where she's from? Anything you feel okay about sharing?
I am from the Midwest. I live in Iowa right now. We have two kids, one in college and one in high school, both juniors. So we are starting to look about where we're going to relocate when we retire, which takes up a lot of our time. That's become our number one hobby in this house, is where are we going when the kids move out. I started writing. I had my first publication in 2012, actually. And I started in erotica.
Oh, wow.
That's what I read. That's what I knew. And somehow that has evolved to women's fiction. So I enjoyed writing erotica, but I've moved on. I'll probably get back to that someday because it's fun. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I just had a new release in August, The Selling Point, which is book 2 of Shaman Point. And that is a book really based on friendship. It's three women, unlikely friends who just hit it off and become family, basically. It's sweet.
So you basically write women's fiction now?
Yeah, pretty much. Some contemporary romance, some women's fiction. I'm kind of all over the map.
And you said this is part of a series. It's book 2.
This is book 2 of a series.
Do you know how many books are going to be in this?
3.
So it'll be a trilogy.
Yeah, it's going to be a trilogy, and I'm actually working. The last book of the series, The Breaking Point, is in editing right now.
Ooh, exciting. And you have a copy of the book to hold up. Let's see your cover of the book, and it's called The Selling Point. It came out in August. Yep. And I saw that it's available on, I guess, Kindle and ebooks, paperback, and also audio and CDs. I don't love to see books on CDs. Or is that another one?
I don't know if the audio is released yet. I know that there's been some distribution issues. We've struggled with getting the prints put together. Well, my publisher has. I haven't. My publisher has been struggling with that. So I just got my print copies today that I went in search of because my publisher was having some issues. So.
Wow.
So there's some hiccups with this release, but it's coming together.
It's coming together, it sounds like. And the next one's with the editor. When is the release date for that one?
December 7th.
Of this year? Oh, wow. So all 3 came out this year. All 3. That's great. August, I know some of you just don't like to wait when it's a trilogy or a series. They want the next one like now.
We actually slowed down a little bit this year. I think we had 5 releases this year, but when I signed with this publisher, they picked up my backlist.
Nice.
So we had a lot that just had to get through, like copy editing and cleaned up, and we had some real rapid releases the first year and a half.
That's great. That's great. I mean, I write in a trilogy, I write in a series, but I can't put them all out in 1 year. So my hat's off to you.
I'm tired.
I can imagine. I want to say hi to a few people real quick. We've got Karen Wright. She says hi. Janet Wisburn. She says hi. Jennifer Bowser is here. They're all saying hi to you. Leisha Haney. When I see Facebook user that's telling me you're in my group, and you need to give StreamYard permission for me to see your name because my group is private. If you're on my author page, it's public. So I can see you just fine, or on YouTube. But if you're in the group, you got to go to the top of this video. And it should be, hopefully, a blue link. And it's just asking you to give StreamYard permission for me to see your name. And if you have questions for Marci, go ahead and put them in the comments. And we will try and get to them throughout our chat. So Marci, writing 3 books, you wrote them all in 1 year.
Yes.
You must have a writing ritual. You must, get up 9 to 5 and write your book. Am I right?
My life is kind of chaos. I'm not going to lie. I'm a trained journalist. I worked in journalism before. And so I am always very deadline oriented. So I have to set deadlines for myself. Like I have to have chapter 3 done by this date. Otherwise I float, and then all of a sudden I'm rushing toward the finish line. So I have a planner. I don't have it here with me, but I have a planner that I keep, deadlines like it's my job. Like I have to report to someone else, because if I don't, then I look at the calendar and all of a sudden I have a book due and I have to hurry up and write a book. So I'm up by 8 in the morning on the computer, working by 8, and try to get some housework done in between writing and social media and all of those things. But I have to treat it like it's a 9 to 5 job, right, or I will have tears. There will be tears at deadline time.
It's so easy to get distracted, especially when you work from home. It really is. And you really have to discipline yourself.
Yeah, it is a lot of self-discipline. And I would say a lot of people are, talked about how COVID disrupted their lives because they had to start working from home. Well, it disrupted my life because all of a sudden I had 2 kids in school at home and a husband working from home. And so my rituals of sometimes I would just turn the music up and clean while I was trying to put the plot together. Well, you can't do that when other people are in the house. So
yeah. Wow.
So
this is your full-time job.
Yes.
You don't have another job, so you are a writer full-time.
Yeah, I do author consulting. I work with new authors, helping them write books. I really prefer to work with new authors just because they keep me fired up. They keep me motivated. They're so passionate. A lot of authors, once they've released 10, 15 books, it's just a job to them. They don't have the same fire.
So when you get a new author, what is one of the key advices you give them? I mean, they're an aspiring author. They dream to write their first book. What kind of motivation do you give them? I'm just curious.
I try to be very blunt. I don't blow smoke and tell them it's an easy job and it's going to be great and you're going to be successful. I think that is the cruelest thing to tell a new author.
That's a big old lie.
It is such a lie.
Such a lie.
It is such a lie. So I try to be honest and say, hey, it's a job. And if you don't sit down and you don't write the book, it doesn't get written because nobody's going to do it for you.
Exactly.
And if you don't take the time to network and socialize, you're not going to build a reader base because you have to connect with your readers. They're not going to follow you if you're some aloof thing that they don't know. You have to work at it. And when you get into editing, it's not easy because people are picking your work apart. Yeah. They're finding your flaws and digging at them. So,
yeah. And when, you got a debut author, she put out her first book. Mm-hmm. How do you tell her to handle negative feedback?
I generally would tell them that, I read my negative feedback because it teaches me what I need to work on.
Me too.
So I do let them know you have to have thick skin because not everybody's going to like your book and some people are going to be nasty about it.
Yeah.
Some people just, they enjoy being mean for whatever reason.
Why is that?
I have no idea, but they do. And whether you're successful or not, you're a target because you've followed your dreams and you've put yourself out there and somebody's going to be pissed off about it. That's just, and the thing is, when you become a writer, most people assume that you can be an introvert, you can stay at home, you can be by yourself, you can write your book. Yeah. But the thing is, nowadays, with social media and self-publishing, you have to get yourself noticed. There's millions and millions of books out there, and you have to somehow push your way through all of them and go, hi! Yeah, exactly. You have to stand out. And it's expensive. You have to invest in marketing. I think one of the biggest misconceptions is people think they're going to release a book and all of a sudden they're going to be rich and famous and Hollywood's going to come knocking. And that's
not it. I love that dream and I love that to happen. And like you and all the other authors we know, but Yeah, and even when someone gets a contract with a movie deal, only 1% of those deals actually get made into a movie.
Yeah, yeah.
My dad had a they bought the rights to one of his books. He was an author, and MGM bought the rights to his book, and they owned the rights for 3 years. And after 3 years, they had the option to renew or put it back in, the public. They did nothing with it, and it went back to the public, and they held on to it for 3 years, so no one else could touch it.
Yeah, and a lot of times, even if they do make your movie, you're going to be so disappointed in it because it's not going to be your.
No, but you're right. They're going to use your name, and that's it. Based on the book by, and that's it.
Yeah, and you have no control over that. And actually, a friend of mine, he has an indie studio, and we've been talking about putting a movie together for a long time. That even if it doesn't do gangbusters, it would just be fabulous to have that experience. But I would go indie. I think I wouldn't want to go with a big studio just because I want it to be what I would like it to be.
Yeah, you want it to be your story, your book, and going to someone big, it's not going to be.
No, I want to take it out of your hands.
I want to check with the audience. I'm going to get back to your book. Let's see who's here. And I did see a few questions I want to ask you. We can refer it to your new book, which is called, again, The Selling Point. It came out in August. Let's see that cover again for the ones that are just joining us. Here we go. And Virgie's here. Panda Sparrow Tuna. A few more. Oh, Denise Burt is here. All saying hi. Marcy Joe Nelson.
Hello.
B. Follow her. Will. Bill. Sorry, B. B. Follow Will. I'm sure you know a lot of these people.
I see names, yes.
Simmons. Let me find some questions. I saw a few that I wanted to ask you. Here's one from Leisha. And you can refer to this book or all your books. Do your book characters talk to you? And if they do, have you had to change something in the story because of it?
Yes. I am a pantster. And for those of you that don't know the term, what that means is I don't have the solid outline. I really just like to write. And the reason I do that is because the characters they tell me their story. And if I try to force them into an outline, I really, really struggle with that. I'm
the same way.
Yeah. So I really I take some time to get to know my characters and build them up in my head and flesh out what they are like, and then we get to writing. So yeah, I've had to change storylines because I tried to outline and it just didn't work.
Okay, how about the characters' names? Because for me, in the beginning of the book, I really don't know them. So I have often just given them a name. Sometimes they're just a Y, and then by the end of the book, I kind of know who they are, and I can kind of pick a name better for a character. Now, do you pick a name at the beginning?
I usually have a name picked out. I have had to change names before because I've realized I've used that name before.
Oh, I've done that. Yeah, I've done that.
So I have a document now that I can go through and sort by first and last name, male, female, to try to keep track of the names I've used.
Oh, that's a good idea. I should do that.
Yeah. After 30... Well, I've had 20 books now. After 20 books. Okay.
I'm not there yet, but I might have to start doing that down the road.
Yeah. You forget.
Have you always wanted to be a writer?
I think I've just always been good at it. Sometimes you're just good at something. I've had a lot of different ideas of what I should and shouldn't do. And I think that's kind of how I ended up in journalism, was because I wanted to write, but I didn't really know how to make a living being a writer. So I went into journalism so I could write and I did feature stories, which is very telling. I did human interest stories.
Oh,
so I would do the cover stories for the community magazine or talk to people about, there was a section called What's in Your Garage. So we would go and talk about, some people had, like these huge embroidery machines because they worked from home, or classic cars, or really weird collections. So it was fun. You really get to meet some interesting people.
Oh, well, yeah, it sounded like a blast. So when you were the journalist and then you wrote your debut novel, did you quit your work right away, or did you kind of ease in to writing?
No, I started easing in. I ended up going back, realizing that I wanted to be in book publishing. So I went back and I got my master's degree and started getting some editing work at different book publishers. I actually worked for Kensington Publishing for a while.
Okay.
And I met some really interesting and successful authors that way. But so I started edging my way into book publishing about 2012. And then I had my first publication, and that was kind of it. I was sold. This is what I wanted to do. So I have my master's degree in publishing, and I do consulting, and I've done editing. I've kind of done everything.
You've got a full-time job just doing it all. That's fantastic. Very well done. And it's only been 9 years.
Yeah.
In 9 years.
Yeah. I'm kind of, I don't want to say obsessive compulsive, but when I focus on something, it kind of becomes my obsession. So writing kind of became my obsession, and here we are.
I love it. Okay, Denise Burt has a question for you. I'm going to put it up for you. What do you need in your writing space to help you stay focused? That's an interesting question. I like that. Me, it's a cup of tea.
Yeah, coffee, tea, food.
Do you snack while you write too?
I do, and I try to make sure I keep healthy snacks. So my desk door opens, and I have different snack mixes in there, different nuts, some popcorn, things like that, so that I don't go looking for cookies and candy bars. So I do try, and I listen to music, and it really depends on what character I'm writing, what I listen to. That really helps me get into the mood for who the character is.
When you're writing, you have music in your ear too?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I can't do that.
Yeah.
I cannot do that. I have to have complete silence. And it sounds like you have a workspace at home, your office. Mm-hmm. Is there any other place you like to write, or it's always in that one place?
It's now that my husband is working from home and I have kids at home, it's primarily in my office. Okay. Because I do get up and I pace a lot, and I get up and I'll read the conversation out loud so that I know that it sounds natural versus very stilted. Because as a writer, I'm sure sometimes the conversation can come across as too forced.
Right.
So if I speak it out loud, I can hear the characters back and forth. I'm able to determine, and my husband just doesn't need me in the background of his meetings, walking back and forth.
Your story out loud. I'm adamant about reading out loud, because I'll go through my manuscript, and I'll do the initial edits and everything I find, and I'll be doing that for a couple of weeks, and then I'll spend another week reading out loud. Yeah, and it's amazing what you can find or hear when you read it out loud. I just went through this. How am I? It sounded right in my head. And it really does help.
Yeah, and if I get stuck, I have this thing where if I can't move forward, I realize that something is off and I haven't been able to pinpoint it. So I will do the read aloud on Word so that my computer reads it to me. So
I tried that, but it doesn't understand. Well, no, it's voice to text. I think I tried dictation. That's what I tried. And my accent, it just didn't understand a word I was saying.
In Word, if you go into the review tab, it has read aloud. Okay. And it will read your book back to you.
And that, you like that?
It sounds a little bit like Siri sometimes.
Pardon?
It sounds a little bit like Siri sometimes, like the automated. But if I hear it back to me, it a lot of times I can figure out what's missing.
That makes sense. It's like someone else is reading to you, and you can be the reader or the listener. Yeah, I like that idea. I'm going to give that a go. I never thought about trying that. When I tried the voice to text dictation, I think I lasted maybe, and not even a paragraph. I said, okay, this is not going to work.
No, I've tried Dragon before, because I know a lot of authors dictate, and no, I talk too fast. I talk too fast. It can't understand me.
Yeah, because I also understand in dictation, you have to say period or comma. And okay, Jennifer has a question for you. If you had the opportunity to live anywhere in the world for a year while writing a book, that took place in that same setting, where would you choose?
I think I would choose Italy. I've never been to Italy, and I want to go. And that would be a good excuse.
My son went to Italy, and they traveled Europe for, I think, like 3 months. They spent a lot of time in England, but he loved Italy. They went to the Vatican and Rome. He loved it. He said it's a beautiful city. Beautiful. And it'd be even better for you if your publishers paid for all your expenses while you're doing your research.
Right?
That's what you need to do. This is something I've not done yet, and I'm going to ask your feedback on this. Where'd it go? Marci Joe is asking, do you put out a playlist with your books?
I do, on Spotify.
That's what someone mentioned to me.
Yeah, if you go to Spotify, you can find the playlists that go with each book. And I don't know that I've done one for the selling point yet. I'll have to look.
Okay, so you have this playlist. See, I've not done this, and I keep hearing that more and more authors are doing this. You go to Spotify, you open up an account, you pick the songs that you think will match your story.
Yeah.
And then what do you do with those songs?
Do you remember like back in the 80s when we were younger, you would make a mixtape on your cassette tape and you could listen to that tape over and over again, you record the music off the radio. It's basically the same thing.
And where do you put it? You just kind of have it and I guess I'm not understanding the whole setup.
It's on Spotify, so it's almost like a movie soundtrack, I guess. If you ever buy movie soundtracks, you can remember what scenes were playing to this or that or the other.
People will go to Spotify, and you have a place, or I guess some air in Spotify, and in Spotify, it's your book soundtrack. Now, do people buy this soundtrack, or is it just download?
No, they can. They might be able to download it, but they can add it to their favorites. And
I still want to touch some of this stuff.
Yeah, like
every time I turn around, there's something new to learn. I just got what is it, TikTok?
Yeah, I've been on TikTok for a while, and I'm not.
Yeah, I have someone help me with TikTok. It's Karen that's in here, and I don't have a clue. It just seems like such a younger generation. But as everyone's like, you got to get on TikTok. I'm like, another platform.
It seems like it's aimed a lot at YA right now and romance that I've seen, but obviously those readers read other genres too. So
and I keep telling myself, how many platforms do we need to be on?
You know what? This year I got rid of my LinkedIn, and I cut back on my Twitter. Like I only go over to Twitter to look. I don't even share on Twitter anymore. Yeah,
I have a LinkedIn, and I don't think I've even gone in there maybe twice in the last 3 years. And then Twitter, I have it, but lately I just can't handle Twitter. It's just too political, and I just
it is. It really
stay
is.
away.
So I've just started canceling some things like Instagram, Facebook, and now TikTok are really where I.
Yeah, and I love Pinterest. I love Pinterest.
I have Pinterest boards, but I don't post on them very often.
I get a lot of traffic to my website from Pinterest. But I also have a collaboration board.
Oh, good.
And I have, I think 4,000 members, and it's got like 21,000 pins.
Nice.
I should get you on there. If you ever get into Pinterest, let me know. But I do post a lot on Pinterest. Like this chat will be on Pinterest under my author interview. So I have the sections of what I'm doing. I try and go in there maybe twice a week. But I have noticed that a lot of my traffic does come from Pinterest on my website.
Awesome. That's awesome.
So keep it in mind. Keep it in mind. Now, the book that just came out, The Selling Point, what, hope I didn't already answer this one. What inspired the book?
What
inspired it? What inspired you to write this book?
What inspired me? I had written a really highly emotional women's fiction called A Life Without Water. It is a lot of death and forgiveness, and it was emotionally draining, and it really took off. It's been my best-selling book so far, and all my other releases. And so my publisher said, we want this to be a trilogy. It is, it's just heavy. It's a heavy book, and it ended up being a heavy trilogy. And I said, I have to write something that's a little bit lighter. Okay. I always do some kind of emotional tragedy because that's just what I write. But the first book in this series, the restarting point, was a woman getting a divorce and becoming friends with these other two and kind of starting her life over. But the selling point is Darby's story. She's one of the friends, and she's rockabilly, and she's got bright red hair, and she wears it in the victory rolls, and she's kind of flighty. So this book, we learn more about her and, you know, why she chooses to be the way she is, and dig a little bit more into that mentality of putting on the class clown act to kind of protect yourself a little bit. And that's what she does. And that kind of falls apart around her in this story. So
okay,
it's a little bit tragic, but
are the characters in the book based on anyone in real life? Or they're all
no. I always tell people this. If you know where to look, you're always going to find me in the main characters. It's always going to be some part of me. And maybe that's why my characters come across so real, and sometimes they're likable and sometimes they're not, but sometimes I'm not likable.
Yeah, you got to put that real in there. I mean, we're not all perfect.
No.
We're not.
So with Darby, I think, we discover that she's been a lot of her youth being bullied because she was a minority. She was overweight and all of these other things. Well, a lot of that came from things that I went through when I was younger. So
okay. So we always put a little bit of ourselves in there.
We do.
We do.
You just got to know where to look.
Let's see if we can get some more questions for you. And in about 5 minutes, I am going to read the description from that book from Amazon. But let's answer a few more questions. I like to get as many questions in as I can. Are either one of your children interested in writing?
Yes and no. Neither one are interested in pursuing writing. My oldest, she is very, very musically inclined. She is studying to be a music teacher, but she journals and she writes a little bit here and there. My youngest, she wants to, at this point in time, she's only 16, so it's subject to change, but she wants to be a culinary chef. She wants to be a...
Oh, nice.
But she's not really interested in
Do
writing.
they read your books?
They read a lot.
Do they read your books?
Yeah, actually my oldest was laughing because she took a full set of my books to campus with her because she tells people that I'm a writer. And she was laughing. She's like, "Mom, remember when you used to rip the sex scenes out before you would let me have your book?" And I was like, that is not something I'm going to hand to my minor child.
No, right. Yeah.
So I'd rip those pages out and then I'd give her a book to read.
That must be the erotica ones, right?
Yeah, not those. And I'm like,
not those.
I don't want to know. Don't tell me about it.
Okay, let's see. Denise has another question for you. What feelings did this book evoke for you? We're talking about your latest one, the selling point.
You feel bad for Darby in this book because she makes a mistake, and because of the mistake, she's seen some success in her business. So she kind of puts her head in the sand and refuses to acknowledge that she made a mistake because it's been successful. It's helped her grow a business. So you feel bad for her because she really wants the success. She's surrounded by two people who she feels are successful, and she wants to be successful. So rather than own up that she made some missteps, she tries to justify what she's done. Mm-hmm. And it's not until she starts realizing that she's turned into what she hates the most, which is kind of the bully, that she starts to recognize that her actions were wrong.
And how old is she?
She's in her 30s.
She's in her 30s? Okay.
She's in her 30s, but I would say maturity-wise, she's probably mid-20s. I mean, I'm not going to lie. She's pretty immature for her age.
Okay, while we're on the subject, let me read the description on Amazon to give readers an idea of the book. And I want to see the cover one more time. I love that cover.
Thank you.
Did you have a say in the cover?
No.
No, not at all. But they turn out good. I love it.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it turned out really good. All right, so this is the description to the book. I hope I say her last name right. Darby Zamora.
Yes.
has always gotten by with work that suits her unique way of life, but success hasn't exactly come easy. A former bridal seamstress, Darby gave up making custom gowns years ago. Her heart was always too big for her business pocketbook, until she comes up with a way to make an old business new again, the Undo Wedding Boutique. Selling dresses online in her bridal consignment shop has merchandise flying off the virtual shelves. People are lining up not only to buy the dress overstock that Darby's been holding onto, but she has new clients desperate for her to help them resell the unused wedding items. Unused. Ooh. But success comes at a steep price when ghosts from her past resurface and make Darby and her new company confront harsh realities of life and business. With the help of her friends, Jade and Taylor, Darby is focused to reassess her business, rediscover herself, and ultimately find her selling point. Intriguing.
Yeah.
I like that. That's very nice. I like that. Sounds intriguing. And this is book 2.
This is book 2 of the series.
In book 1, 2, and 3, is Darby in all 3 books?
Yes. This focuses on the 3 friends, Jade, Darby, and Taylor.
Okay.
And we're 3 really unique personalities. Jade was very business oriented until her marriage fell apart, and she realized it was because she spent so much time chasing her career. So she kind of evolves into this mother hen type where she wants to take everybody in and fix them and help them and guide them, because she feels like she missed that opportunity when she had it. Right. And Darby, again, is just kind of off the wall and funny, and she does the class clown act. There's a scene in The Restarting Point where Jade's kind of having a little bit of a meltdown while they're out on paddle boards, and all of a sudden she realizes that Darby isn't there, and so they turn around and Darby's laying flat on her stomach paddling because she couldn't paddle standing up. She's like, I'm coming. She just does a lot of these funny things to get attention, but also to get laughs.
Now, do you paddleboard?
I do not, but I want to.
Okay, because I kayak.
Do you?
And I see plenty of paddleboard out there, but the thought of standing and paddling is not relaxing for me. It just seems like my legs would be killing me by the time I get up. So for me, I like to sit in the kayak and just relax.
I would probably do it Darby style, where I'm laying on my stomach.
Yeah, I mean, I hear it's a great workout for your legs and your waistline and everything, but no, I have to be sitting. I do. Let's see, one sec. Okay, this is the trilogy, and then you mentioned your other trilogy. Mm-hmm. Have you written any standalones?
I have. Unforgettable You is a contemporary romance that was a standalone. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to think. That might have been it. Other than erotica, that might have been much right
series. Do you plan on? I mean, I know this one your publisher said we want a trilogy, but mm-hmm. when you sit down and write a book, do you know it's going to be more than one book?
Only if they ask. I really like to focus on what I'm writing, and I don't want to be pigeonholed to the point where I have to write a book in order for it to automatically have a continuation. Luckily, with A Life Without Water, the way that I wrote the end, she was getting ready to take the next leg of her journey. So it pretty much naturally set up for a follow-up book. But I really like to focus on what I'm working on and flesh out that story the best that I can. And if it makes sense for it to be a series,
then you continue on.
Yeah. But like with Shaman Point, I knew that they wanted a trilogy, so I set it up that way when I sent the proposal to them for the series. Stonehill was my first romance series, and it just naturally turned into a series, but every book is standalone. And Shaman Point, every book is standalone.
It's standalone. They can be the same. I like the same way. I like it to be a series, but you can also just grab a book and be caught up with the other two in the past.
With A Life Without Water, they really need to be read in order because the events are kind of an overarching story. I tried to give enough backstory without giving away everything, that if you pick it up, you can
That's
follow
kind of
along.
hard. That's hard. Yeah.
But it is hard because it's her journey from starting to face her grief all the way to, you know, to the point where she starts healing. So
now the trilogies that you have out, series, are they available in a box set or an omnibus? Is it a one long continual book?
I don't know that they have released them in box sets.
The box set. When I say box set, you're with the publisher.
Mm-hmm. So
if your publisher says we're going to release a box set, you will actually get the 3 books in a case.
In a case.
With self-publishing, they say box set, and it's so deceiving. You have a cover of a box set, but it's one huge book of 800 pages, and it'll say book 1, book 2, book 3,
or it's 3 separate books. Yeah. Now, I did look into doing the box set covers, and unfortunately, it's just so expensive that unless you're a really successful self-publisher, you're probably not going to be able to afford that. But they are available. I mean, you can order those, and of course, stock up on your books and send them out yourself. I don't know that you can do it through Amazon.
But you still have to find someone to make that case for the 3 books to go into. Yeah,
you still have to order that case, and they're fairly expensive.
Yeah, that's what I figured. So, I'm just curious if you had the trilogy too. And it sounds like you like writing series over a standalone, because that's what most of your books are. Or it just turns out that way.
Yeah, it just kind of turns out that way.
Do you think you said you wrote erotica, you're now writing women's fiction. Do you think, is there any other genre that you think you might dive into down the road?
I do have some romantic. I have some romantic suspense, and I really, really enjoyed writing that. It was a PI series. It was called The Women of Hearts, and they were private investigators, and they were just badass women kicking butt, taking names. And I absolutely loved writing that series. It kind of fizzled out, but it might get picked back up. We'll see.
See, I love reading cozy mysteries, but I don't think I could ever, because they say a lot of times, write what you read or you know. And I've read a lot of cozy mysteries, but I don't think I could ever write one. Because that's the kind of book where I'm assuming you have to plot it out, because there's going to be a murder. There's going to be, a bad guy, and you're going to have to know who that bad guy is in order for the case to unfold.
Yeah. And that was probably my biggest struggle. I had to go back and put more red herrings in after I figured out what happened and how it happened.
Right.
But it was so fun to write. And I have a tendency to go a little dark. I'm not going to lie.
That's okay.
So when they found the body, I reached out to a police officer, and I'm like, okay, this is the scenario. What does this body look like? And he gave me explicit details, which I relayed in my book. And then the editor came back and she said, we're not putting this in a romance.
Oh, really? They cut it out?
This is too gory.
You had every single detail. Really?
We lightened it up a little bit. Yeah. But I was like, come on, that's so cool.
That's kind of a bummer, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, Ruth here has a question for you. Ruth Benson. I love where she lives. She lives in Peculiar, Missouri. Or is it Michigan? Sorry, Ruth. I don't know, it's one of the two.
It's Missouri, because I drive through there, and I had told her that once.
Oh, I love that name, Peculiar. When she told me that, I thought she was joking when I first saw it. Oh, Peculiar, but I love the name of her town. Who is your favorite character? Is it hard on you when you know they're facing problems? Let's talk about this book, The Selling Point.
This book. Oh, yeah. This book.
Your favorite character? It has to be Darby. I might be wrong.
No, actually, I think it's Taylor.
Oh, see?
Taylor is, she's really hardened. She's got a lot of rough edges. She's been hardened by life. And I actually, one of the things that the editor said during this process was, let's soften her up a little bit. She's a little too jagged around the edges. But I really love these characters that have so many layers. And like with Darby has layers, of course, but you can kind of figure out her layers because she puts up that front. She puts up that air of being the class clown, and you kind of know that something has happened there. But I really like these characters that are a little bit rougher around the edges, that it takes a little bit more prying to get to the, get to the meat of the problem.
Right.
But I also love that they're kind of snarky. You get those characters that are a little bit tougher, and they always have that quick wit, and it's a dry wit, and you never know, are you joking, or did you mean that? So I don't know. I'm just always drawn to those characters that they're really broken inside and they're just not ready to reach out for help. So in Taylor's book, she starts reaching out for help.
And do they tend to surprise you a little bit? I mean, like something happens and you did not see it coming?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my characters do that to me all the time.
Good, I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one that sounds nutty at times.
Okay. Where did that come from? What are you talking about?
Right? Yeah, they actually say to me, like, I won't do that. That's not something I would do. Like, okay, let's scratch that. They will tell you. Jennifer's asking, what do you hope readers will take away from your story?
I think with the selling point, I really think the takeaway from that is just recognizing when you make a mistake, and instead of digging your heels in, just own up to it, because that's going to be so much easier. Just own up to your mistake, apologize, and try to find a way to.
And it allows you to move on.
Move on.
It really does allow you to move on. Mm-hmm. That is my one thing about whether it be you did something wrong or whatever, just admit to it.
Own it up. Yeah, own up to
it. If you don't admit to it, it's going to be following you behind until you do, because eventually you're going to need to just say something about it.
Yeah.
Why drag it out? Why drag it out?
So with Darby, again, she just kind of puts her head in the sand and pretends like, well, these people think it's okay, so it has to be okay, instead of recognizing that these people over here are hurt by her actions. She's kind of focusing on the ones.
I do.
Yeah. She's focused on the ones that are giving her approval instead of the ones that are making a point.
Good advice. I just saw the word badass. It's Ruth. Ruth's asking, badass, I like detective books. Okay, Ruth. Hello, Marci. I meant to click on this question, but she says hello. It's from Alicia. Here it is. Have you used your daughter's names on any of your books?
No, I haven't. I don't. They're just now old enough. I think that they would be in a place to give me permission for that, and I would want their permission. The type of books that I write, the content that I write, I don't necessarily know that I would
want your daughters to be part of this character. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, I do want to break away. I am keeping an eye on the time. I explained to you that we've got 10, 15 minutes left. But I was so bummed in my last chat. I was 2 seconds over and I couldn't upload it to Instagram. It just bummed me out. My computer clock is like 50 seconds difference between Instagram's clock. So I'm keeping it close. But I want to take a couple of minutes and let's talk about your auction.
Okay.
That you have going on. I'm going to let you just talk about it. I did donate Reckless Beginnings. And
I have a copy right here. This is signed, you guys. So when
it's signed. But I want you to tell about the cause. I posted it in the group, but I'm going to bring it back up to the top because I think it got, you know how it happens in groups. After the chat, I'll bring it back up. But listen to this auction that Marci has going on.
Last year, 2020, August of 2020, my friend, she lost her son to an overdose. He had been battling addiction, and he was on the road to recovery when COVID happened. And it just kind of kicked the world out from under, well, everybody, but he lost his income and the pressures got to him, and he returned to using drugs. And unfortunately, his relapse cost him his life. 1 month before his 25th birthday, he died on August 9th. He would have turned 25 on September 9th.
So sad.
So, yeah. And he was such a good kid. He was a really good kid. He just, sometimes troubles get to you. So his mother has made it her mission to share addiction awareness, and the recovery house that is in Jacob's hometown of Athens, Ohio. She wants to raise money. And so I told her I would do this auction, and I would ask my fellow authors to donate signed books. And our goal is 2,000, and I think we're going to reach it. We're getting very close already, and it goes until September 19th.
We'll keep on going.
Yeah, it started.
You're going to go beyond that, it sounds like.
I hope so. We are at about $1,700 right now in bids.
Excellent.
So we are really excited. But all of the proceeds are going to go to the John W. Clem Recovery House, which is for young men battling addiction and addiction awareness in Athens, Ohio, which Athens, Ohio is the home of Ohio University. It's a college town, so drugs are a big problem there. Unfortunately, it's pretty easy to get drugs there.
I think nationwide, worldwide, it's a huge problem. Something that's not going to go away anytime soon. So I commend you.
We're raising money, and I just hope everybody will come over and find something. It's not just books. I ended up having some readers.
No, you have a lot of other stuff too, and I need to find some time before the 17th and go in I kind of browse a little bit, but I know I want to make a donation, so I'm going to go in there before the 17th or 18th and some things.
I had some readers donate some homemade jewelry, some hand knitted blankets, and clothing, baby hats. We have jewelry with book pages. We have magnets. We have book sleeves. We have ornaments. We have all kinds of things. My readers were like, "Can we donate?" And I'm like, "Please, it doesn't have to just be books."
There you go. So if you're a great cause, and I will bring the post back up after this chat, and please check it out and see if there's anything that you want to bid on. So thank you for putting this together. I'm honored to be a part of it, and I sound like you're doing great.
Yeah, I'm so happy because obviously I've never done anything like this. So obviously that fear of of nobody showing up or nobody donating, and we had such an amazing response. We have over 100 items. So
someone's just asking. We'll be posting a link for the addiction. It'll be I'm going to put it in the featured items up in the group after the chat. Now we know you like to write. We know you like to read. But what else, when you're not doing either one of those things, do you like to do? I have to point that out because most people say, "Oh, I like to read." What else?
I have gardening. Gardening is kind of my zen. And last year, 2 years ago, we started canning. So I have tons of vegetables I need to.
When do you have time to can? That's a long process.
It is. And actually, I haven't had enough time recently, so I have about 20-gallon bags of tomatoes in my freezer downstairs that I'm going to have to process at some point.
I made spaghetti sauce with mine and froze it.
Yeah, I've got. I mean, my freezer, my deep freezer.
But you have to find the time to do it.
Is. I'm going to be more careful about how much I plant next year because it's gotten out of control.
You must. Where do you live again? Where do you live?
In Iowa.
And you must have some land.
Well, we have a decent sized backyard, but we put in some raised beds this year. So we've got tomatoes and peppers, zucchini. We had cucumber, but they got a virus and it died off. Cantaloupe, watermelon.
Wow. Nice. I had 4 grow boxes at one time, and now I'm down to 1. I just don't have the time to maintain 4 of them. So now I'm down to 1.
A lot.
And I still have carrots in the ground. I'm like, okay, I've got to pick these one of these days. But I know they can stay in for a long time until I eventually get to them. So
yeah, well, I like to be away from the computer when I'm plotting. And like I said, if I get stuck, I need to do something else with my hands and my mind so that my brain can kind of clear itself. So it's a really nice hobby to get out of the house, get away from the computer, and start playing those scenes over in my head that I get stuck on.
Do you get freezing temperatures where you are? Do you have you do? So you have to stop gardening at a certain, because I mean, like some places they can grow all year round. Yeah.
And this year we didn't plant until June. Usually you plant in, they say after Mother's Day in
That's like
Iowa.
Here.
Yeah.
That's like here. Same thing.
And we were still having frosts until June. So I don't know. The planting season seems to be changing. But yeah, here in the next couple of weeks, we'll have to get everything out because our first frost will be coming coming soon. So.
Oh, wow. Got time to get busy.
And we have tons of animals. We have so many animals.
Yes, I was reading on your bio that you also involved in rescues.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that. What do you have right now? And do you keep, when you say you're involved in rescues, do you just keep them and then adopt them out, or do you just keep them?
No, they just, I am terrible at fostering. They just stay. But we do tend to find the more, I don't want to say they're not adoptable, but the ones that get looked over. We have a cat that's deaf. We have a cat that has bad hips because he got hit by a car or something. We have a cat that was found in the middle of the road. He was maybe 2 weeks old when they found him, and we took him in. And we adopted a 13-year-old min pin he's 16 now, and he's blind. We just lost our black lab a couple weeks ago, and we had adopted him when he was about 6 months old, but he had lived in somebody's bathroom. He had never seen the outside world. So we had him, and before that we had a chocolate lab who she had hip dysplasia, and she had been a breeder, and somebody just dropped her on the side of the road, I'm sure, because her hips went bad. And we just take in these sad animals. And
I can't believe I have a friend that goes to the shelters, and it's not just her, it's her and a few other people, but they actually adopt the older animals.
Yeah.
The ones that people just walk by, like above 9 years old, 10 years old. They take them in and give them the last few lives of love. And I just think that's brilliant. And
they're good dogs. I mean, it takes them a little bit longer to adjust, I think, than it would.
And some of these dogs ended up in the pound or the home, is because their owners died.
Right, and that's what happened with this guy.
Oh, they were how cute!
His owners went into assisted living, and so they're.
And that's really hard on the owner too. Yeah. These dogs are like 8 or 9, they've had them all their life, and they have to be separated. So
yeah,
I think it's brilliant and wonderful what you're doing.
He was 13 when we got him, so he's going blind now. Poor guy. He's got some eyesight issues, but overall he's pretty healthy.
He's a cutie. What, you're looking up? Is he on a shelf or something?
No, my husband is holding him.
Oh. I thought maybe you're sitting on a shelf.
My husband's carrying him around.
That's so sweet.
There's nothing quite as cute as a big man holding a little tiny dog.
I love it. I like seeing the big men walking these dogs. I do. I'm going to look for a couple more questions. We have time for a couple more questions. Yep. I'm going to talk about the giveaway, and I'm keeping a close eye on my clock here. I saw a couple I wanted to just bring up real quick, if I can find them again. Okay, here's one from Alicia. I'm just going through what I see. What house chore is your least favorite task? All of it.
I would say I really, really stink at laundry. I am one of those people who it's in the dryer and you refresh it like 5 times before you get it unfolded.
Try and get the wrinkles out too.
Like, how many times can I put this through the dryer before, probably laundry. I mean, I don't mind washing it. It's just the rest of the process that I can't make myself do.
Folding is what I don't like. And hanging. I just don't like folding and hanging. That one gets to me. That's one I can't stand. There was a question and I can't find it. All right. Okay. So I want to talk about the giveaway. We have a few going on. Marci is very generous. She's going to be giving away. Is it going to be signed, right?
Yes.
A signed paperback of The Selling Point. Mm-hmm. One lucky viewer that is here live tonight is going to win that. And I usually give the author yourself the option to pick the winner, or I can. Because it's going to be in 3 different places for you to go. What's that?
I'll let you do it. Okay. You tell me who the winner is.
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll tag you in the group, and I usually wait a couple of hours, and then I'll go back in after dinner, and I'll find a winner for you. Okay. And I also, so that'll be announced tonight. I would tag the winner and Marci, and you can reach out to Marci with your details. And I also give away a box of Yorkshire tea. This is the only tea I drink. I don't drink anything else, and I always give away a box of my Cuppa A Natter show. So I will pick a winner for that. Again, I'll announce the winner tonight. And then I'm also doing the $5 Amazon gift card. And if you're regular here on the show, you know that you need to go to my author page and share this video and tag me on the video to be entered in the drawing for the $5. You have to share the video. You got to get the word out. And that's how we get the word out, by sharing these videos. So if I see that you tag me and I see that you shared the video, then you will be in the $5 drawing. And this will go up on Instagram as long as I keep an eye on the time. So anyways, and Marci, I did put your links in the front of the post where you can find Marci and where she is on her platforms and her website. If you wouldn't mind, when you have time, if you could go through the comments on the author page and in the group, I'm sure there's some questions that we didn't get to, and I'm sure they'd love to hear your answers. But I love this chat. I had a fantastic time with you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me. I really
appreciate it. I had a really good, I'm pleased. I'm going to post the auction details again up in the group. Let us know in the group how it went after the 17th. I'll post again tonight, and I'll post a couple of days before it closes.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tina. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. And we will talk to you soon. Bye, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.